IX and Campus Save Act compliant training for Riverside Community College District. I'm George Homer. I'm an account executive here at LawRoom and CampusClarity. I've been here about 8.5 years and helped hundreds of higher ed institutions with Title IX, Campus Save, harassment prevention, FERPA, ethics, and other employment law topics. So appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. This should last about 30 minutes, so we'll end promptly at 1:30, and you can ask questions throughout the presentation in the question box. And so just feel free to submit a question, and we'll take pauses and actually answer those questions as we go through this presentation. And this is specific to students today, so we did the faculty staff overview yesterday. And so just to walk through our agenda, we'll talk about what we're seeing, what you're seeing, and I'm talking to colleges of various sizes and locations on a daily basis, so want to share some insights relating to Campus Save Act and Title IX training that I see firsthand, and then we can talk about any challenges that you folks are facing. Also talk about the 7 elements of an online training program. I'll touch briefly on the Campus Save Act requirements, and keep in mind, folks, I'm not an attorney, but I do want to provide facts around Campus Save Act and Title IX training requirements. We'll, of course, dive into the CampusClarity community college-specific product, the adult learner product, showcase the different components and answer any questions that you have. And then finally, I'll touch on who we are as an organization and talk a little bit about our 20-year history as a compliance training company. And so I want to take a minute now to talk about what we're seeing from colleges that are facing similar challenges to meet Title IX and the Campus Save Act. And so we've talked to a lot of community colleges, and so there's really a unique challenge as it relates to non-traditional students, commuter students, and adult learners in complying with the Campus Save Act. And so when community colleges are preparing to train their students, they really have to account for the fact that a program designed specifically for an 18-year-old living on campus is not going to work for that student population. And so the student experience is vastly different, and that really needs to be taken into consideration in how a Campus Save Act program is designed and deployed for community colleges. We also talk about product sustainability, and so when the Violence Against Women Act was amended with the Campus Save Act, many new providers entered the market without any compliance training expertise, and so most of these were players in the alcohol and drug abuse prevention space without any real experience servicing large, complex organizations in the areas of customer service, data security, technical support, and even legal resources. And so almost invariably, this has led many colleges to partner with providers that don't have compliant programs and really can't sustain their solution. And lastly, we talk a lot about making training available for the entire student population. And so since the update to the Campus Save Act in October of 2014, one of the new challenges for institutions is they no longer need to just make a program available to incoming students, but they need to train all students and make it available on an ongoing basis. And so that really creates a much larger number of considerations. And so there's really not a silver bullet course that you can give once and done in order to meet these requirements. So we talk about the 7 elements of an online training program. And so first up is educational design. And so the design really needs to fulfill its mission to educate and engage. That means that the program needs to be designed for its intended audience. So whether that's a 19-year-old new student, a 30-year-old adult learner, or a 50-year-old tenured faculty member, the program really needs to speak to its audience. Talk about a tailored experience. So the program needs to be uniquely tailored to your institution, student body, and faculty. And so you folks are tasked with educating at the highest level. And so your Campus Save Act program should meet those standards of quality and mission. Talk about an ongoing education. So the course needs to have an ongoing module to meet the Campus Save Act requirements. And this is really a course that changes every year and allows an institution to reinforce its primary training program, reemphasize those key elements, and adapt to the ever-moving target of the student experience. We talk about deployment and tracking tools, and so institution must succeed at deploying the course and reaching its audience. So it's not enough to build and customize a great program. It has to get there, and so that means there has to be an intuitive learning management system, an electronic notification system, preferably one with automated email reminders, so this isn't someone's full-time job. We also know tracking is mission critical, and so as we talk about changing the culture of an institution, it's really key that you have insights into how your students are responding so you can take appropriate interventions in response. Product sustainability, we talked about having a provider that has the technical, legal, and customer service resources to make sure that the product is compliant and is sustainable. We talk about compliance, and so program needs to be Campus Save Act and Title IX compliant, and it has to be adaptable in this regard, because we know that laws and regulations can change at the state and federal level. So the course really needs to meet those needs. And lastly, and the same may seem less obvious, but the program really needs to be cloud-based, and so you could certainly entertain developing your own program in-house, but the need to adapt the program to meet the ever-changing student landscape and the compliance requirements would make it cost prohibitive to do anything other than cloud-based. And so I'm going to back up here a bit and talk about what we saw from other institutions who struggled with complying with Campus Save Act last year. So we know July 1, 2015. We know it well, kept us here late, got us here early, and so we know institutions had to have something in place for Campus Save Act training by July 1 of 2015. We know that October 1, 2015 had to show what you did on your annual Clarity Security Report. We know what Campus Save Act requires from a training perspective, so all incoming students and new employees must be offered a primary prevention program. All faculty and students must be offered an ongoing prevention and awareness campaign. All enrolled students and then institutions need to have airtight documentation to show what they've done to meet these regulatory requirements. Also want to address the Title IX regs that really deepen institutional responsibility to train students and faculty on an ongoing basis. And so a school should provide sexual violence training for students at regular intervals, and employees need to know what they're required to report on, as well as how to respond to reports of sexual violence. And in October of 2014, there were some final notes on the Campus Save Act, and one of the big clarifications related to exactly who should be trained within a Title IX institution. And so this slide further clarifies the need and importance of making a training program available across the entire institution. So it's not just incoming students anymore, it's now making the program available to all students and all employees. And the DOE did stop short of mandating the program, but they did recommend that institutions do mandate their training. So we talk about the challenge of all of this, and so meeting these requirements has really been a tall order for Title IX institutions. It's been a short window of time to find the right program, get it developed and launched, and of course do it within budget. So institutions have come to us saying, we need everything, we need it now, it needs to be good, and you know we probably can't afford it. And so that's the way that these conversations have gone, and it doesn't matter the size or the type. We talk to community colleges, we talk to med schools, we talk to private and public institutions, we talk to everyone. And we see the same issues, and so institutions aren't necessarily used to this accelerated timeline, so it puts considerable strain on the administration to decide on something that requires really a high level of institutional buy-in from faculty, administrators, students, and even IT. And so fortunately, we have SaaS to the rescue, or software as a service, and so CampusClarity LawRoom, we're based here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and one of the great tech movements that's taking place out here is cloud technology, or software as a service, which enables businesses and institutions to leverage powerful technologies without the burden of installing software or hardware, and with the added benefit of it being dynamic and adaptable. And so what that means for something like online training, it's suddenly possible to develop, host, and deploy an entire training environment, including the courseware, learning management functionality, and even the data storage piece completely in the cloud. And so we talk about how burdensome the Campus Save Act mandates can be for an institution, but honestly, without cloud technology, this would be an entirely different level of financial and infrastructural burden for ongoing course development, customization, installation, deployment, compliance, monitoring, legal updates, so the cost would be considerable. So it's pretty cool that we live in a time where we can effectively crowdsource solutions like these to develop programs quickly and in a cost-effective way. So I'm going to walk into some of the educational design aspects of our program. I'll talk about the tailored experience, ongoing education, course deployment, tracking tools, compliance expertise, and then rich media, video scenarios. And so we looked at our educational design aspect. And so we're really best known for our instructional design aspect, where we've won NASPA awards, we won Stevie awards, and so we believe that students should learn and be engaged. And so our program was developed with over 40 student focus groups at 18 institutions. And so for our new students at residential campuses, we use silhouettes. We found that students were very receptive to silhouettes because it removed racial bias and facial expressions. So we have, I'm going to go through just a quick scenario of what the undergrad traditional student program looks like, and so we can compare and contrast what the adult learner and community college course looks like. And so here we have educational design aspects to where we have animated scenarios of a house party. And so we noticed that Alan is taking a very intoxicated Dominique into the bedroom. So as a bystander, what are we going to do? So we go and get Nabuki to confront Alan, and Alan says, hey, Dominique's fine, we've been dancing all night. So we ask the question, what should Nabuki say? So if I answer, if she's been dancing all night, she's probably interested. That's a bad call. That's the wrong answer. Dancing is not consent to anything. This could have led to sexual assault. So I actually have to go back and get the answer correct. I go back and I say, hey, Alan, I don't think that's a good idea. Dominique's had a lot to drink. Why don't you call her tomorrow? And so Alan hands Dominique to Nabuki. We've intervened to stop a potential sexual assault, and we've said, nice work. This can be intimidating, but it's important to act when you think that something is wrong. We also know it's critical that there's learning points so that students can't just go on autopilot and click through the material without paying attention and being engaged. So when I get an answer incorrect, I have to actually go back and get it right to move on. So I go back here, I get some feedback, and I'm on my way to earning a badge. Now I'm going to walk us into some of the adult learner material so you can actually see the look and feel of the course, and then we can look at some of the community college course version as well. So I'm going to start with the adult learner course. So it's a much more mature look and feel. It's shorter. It's about 45 minutes. But you can use any courses that we have. It's an unlimited access membership. So if you like the younger student module, you can use it. If you like the adult learner, use it. You can use multiple courses. So we look at institutional and legal protections. We look at Title IX. We look at VAWA. We look at the Campus Save Act. We look at potentially harassing behavior. So we know a lot of these older students are in the workplace, so we want to focus on harassment and discrimination so that we know that that folks are aware of sexual harassment prevention and that they're not doing things that are going to get themselves in trouble. We also look at dating violence, so domestic violence, stalking, victim protection orders, all under California state law, and we know that there's been some changes in California law, and all of our courses are always updated by our 7 lawyers on staff. Course is also non-heteronormative, so there are a few LGBTQ scenarios in the course, as well as a harm reduction approach. So really important to have content that is inclusive. We look at a survivor's reaction to assault, so we look at from a biological perspective, so a flood of hormones triggered by a sexual assault can lead to the victim's memory being fragmented. We look at emotionless response, where the body releases opioids to block the physical and emotional pain of an attack. And we look at tonic immobility or rape-induced paralysis, which is really really a situation that shows that many survivors can't resist because they're frozen with fear. We get into some of these other areas where we look at anticipating rationalization. So I can't tell her that she's my friend and I reframe this, but I guess it's better to hear that from me than someone else. And then we get into these other interactions. I don't want people to think I'm a nag, but if I say something, it'll show that I act on my values. So I'm going to walk out of that and go into the community college course version. And so I'm going to let this beginning section actually play out. And so this is actually fully audio, fully narrated on this intro page. And so we're going into just an interactive scenario. So it's an intro. And so we have really 4 areas. So we have foundations, academic life, personal life, and then taking action. So we look at cultural attitudes. We have a trigger warning area, the RAIN hotline. We look at academic life. We talked a little bit about harassment, so we focus more in on the harassment piece. We talk about forging an identity, good communications, the makings of a good relationship, so we do get into am I in a bad relationship, so lack of trust, excessive criticism, external concern, and then relationships can go from bad to abusive, and then helping our friends. We get into these great flip cards. Talk more about sexual violence, barriers to mutual consent. So I'm going to walk into a few more aspects here around accessibility. So all of our courses are WCAG 2.0 level AA, which is the highest accessibility standard in the country. So of course really needs to be accessible, especially when we're in a situation to be a public institution in California. And so all of our courses are accessible. We do work with the whole Cal State system, the whole UC system, so they're all available from a VPAP perspective. So anything that we put out is accessible and is under WCAG 2.0. I know a lot of vendors tout that, but it really is easier said than done. We talk about tailoring the program, so it's really critical that the course is tailored to the institution, so there's a consistent message across the organization. And so the course has to have the look and feel of each unique campus to maximize the learning experience. So this is a welcome page with your institutional logo and name. So I know that Riverside has multiple campuses, so every campus would have its own brand and instance, as well as a welcome note from whoever is introducing the program and your campus photos. So it's all very customized to each campus. We talk about sexual misconduct policies, so we integrate your policies. We require an electronic signature so that you're always going to have electronic evidence in the event that there is an incident. You have that record keeping. Ongoing education, so each year we're creating new courseware to really refocus employee and student engagement on current topics that are relevant in the higher ed space. And so employee training includes 20 compliance courses. Student training is holistic. There's about 10 courses, so there's courses for adult learners, courses for community college students. There's a standard younger student course. There's follow-up courses. There's sanctioned courses. There's annual ongoing. So really, our approach to training is really a four-step approach to change behavior. So we have primary training, prevention, and to comply with the SAVE Act. So primary training prevention program, follow-up courses, annual ongoing, which is required to be made available to everyone under the SAVE Act, and then an annual climate survey, which is an optional component. But we're seeing more and more campuses focusing on assessing climate surveys to know really what's going on with the health of their campus. So we have just a little bit of the follow-up course. This is a 20-minute changes every year so that students wouldn't say the same thing over and over again, and so it does help you comply with the SAVE Act, and it is optional. We do have Talk About It, which are PowerPoint presentations, audience facilitator-led discussion guides, posters, article prints. So this is really meant to help students and employees do the right thing at the right time and not just a check-the-box bare minimum solution. We talk about course deployment. So whether you have 200 students or 20,000, a really concern is how are you going to monitor, track, and deploy the program to make sure that employees and students are getting this done. So whether you're doing something internally or using another solution, you don't want this to be someone's full-time job. So you can create course assignments. We can integrate in with your internal systems, Banner, Colleague, your single sign-on through CAS, Shibboleth, LDAP, and then you send out these notifications that are branded to your campus. People can self-register, take the program, they can come back to where they left off. You can set up automated email reminders, which is really a set it and forget it function. It goes out automatically to let folks know they need to get this done. And so one of our larger clients just used automatic email reminders with no incentives, no fines, and they received over 87% completion with just the automated email reminders and the course content. So that's really critical. We talk about participation data. There's demographics, there's tracking and reporting, so you can see what's going on with student behavior and student completions. We have the Campus Climate Survey option, which gives you the ability to create climate surveys and then launch those out so you can assess anonymous data. We talk about compliance expertise, and so this course is state-specific with the law integrated in plain English. We've built out 50 courses for 50 states. We have 7 lawyers on staff to make sure courses meet the letter of the law and up to date. And we know the laws do change. So in California, we had yes means yes. In New York, we had enough is enough. In Illinois, we had the HB 0821. And so I think the reason we've had so much success is there really isn't another solution that provides this level of compliance and quality that our program offers. Another really important requirement under the SAVE Act is the ability to make this campus specific. And so community colleges really have a unique situation with campus specificity because they have campuses that cross county lines in many cases. And so you have to have off-campus resources that do cross county lines integrated into the course. So every course is customized for the campus, for that county, to be specific to the law, as well as your conduct process needs to be incorporated in as well. So that's another customized feature that's provided at no cost, but is a requirement under the SAVE Act. So anything that's required under the SAVE Act, we incorporate in at no cost on the customization side. And so lastly, we can wrap this up. We can answer any questions. And I'd be remiss not to share with you LawRoom's compliance expertise, and so it's really not a sales pitch. I owe it to you to give you information about LawRoom, and it should be a big deal for any campus AVAC solution. So LawRoom has over 20 years of compliance expertise servicing tens of thousands of organizations along the way. Our founder is a lawyer. We have 7 lawyers and staff. We're here in Northern California. We trained over 1.5 million employees and students last year at over 1,500 organizations. In 2013, we had about 20 higher ed institutions. We now have over 500 that rely on us for Title IX and trust us for Campus Save. And so we brought on about 150 new community colleges last year, 300 total campuses. We work with LA Community College District, Mount SAC, San Bernardino Community College District. I just brought on Merced Community College District and San Joaquin Delta College Community College District as well, Foothill DeAngelo, City College of San Francisco, but we have the whole University of California system, the whole CSU system, and community colleges throughout the U.S. in Texas, in Baltimore, Maryland, you name it, we're in that state operating. So that's pretty much it from me. I'm going to open up the floor for questions in the question box. I'm also going to put my contact in the event that folks have specific questions or would like to view pieces of the course. So we do have a question here. So can you briefly touch on the sanction courses for the conduct officers at our campuses? So absolutely, and Lorraine, thank you for asking that. So let me go into, so there's 3 sanction courses included. So let's look at some of the sanctioning material. And so when we look at sanction courses, we have alcohol, 1 course for alcohol, 1 course for drug abuse prevention, and then one course for sexual misconduct. And so in this situation, we have a student who is passed out drunk, and so we go into these different interactions. And I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on this, but I think showing you some of the interactions will be helpful. So we get in a situation, so what % of your peers drink at all? So you have to click on this. So 25% report never drinking alcohol. What % of students who drink haven't had a drink in the last 30 days? So I got that right. I have to go back and get it right. I got that wrong, so I have to go back and get it right. So it's 15%. So I'm always going to have to get these right to move on. We get into perception versus reality. So really the illusion is that folks drink more than they actually do. Do you know what a standard drink is? So we get into a standard drink, defining a standard drink. So 1.5 ounce shot, 5 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of beer. And then we look at what's in this drink. So 5 ounces of vodka, 11 ounces of orange juice. This is actually 3 plus standard drinks. And then we look at how many drinks are in this cup. So 3 ounces of vodka. So it's 2. And hopefully that gives the group a good idea of what the look and feel is. So it's rich media, it's multi-learning modality, it's video, it's audio, it's animation. So it's definitely new look and feel, not old school, not videos from the 90s. And are there any additional questions? Would you folks like me to show more of the sanction courses? I know we have a couple minutes left, but want to open the floor up and see what else is on your mind here. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today. I am recording this, so I'm going to send the recording to Lorraine Jones. For folks that missed the event, they can go back and reference it. If there are any questions, my contact information is on the board here. And give me a call, shoot me an email. Love to answer any questions and help in any way I can. And I do thank, oh, we do have another question here. what is the average length of completion for a student module? It's about 45 minutes. So sanctioned courses are 25, 30 minutes, follow-up courses are 20, but the primary program is 45 minutes. Appreciate everyone's time. I'm going to send this off to Lorraine here shortly, and have a great day, everyone. Thank you.